Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter's Movie Reviews. And today I want to talk about a movie that I watched late last night, and that is the 2025 movie Bugonia, and it is starring Emma Stone. This is probably one of my most anticipated movies of the fall winter of 2025. I have been so excited to watch this movie. I didn't really know what to think. I'd seen the trailer. Now, for those of you that have not watched one of my reviews before, I don't always watch the entire trailer of something because I don't like the movie ruined for me. And the trailers as of late kind of like ruin movies. Sometimes I'll show a lot of the movie. So I'll watch like 20, 30 seconds of a trailer and then I'm like, okay, if I'm like pulled in, I'll watch it. So I was really excited about watching this movie. In fact, I was like, when is it released at home? My husband was not going to watch this movie. He had no desire to watch this movie. So I was like, when can I rent this at home? When can I watch it at home? And so I just happened to get on last night and I looked and you could rent it for $19.99. And I was like, okay, now I know that's a lot of money, but I was like, if I went to the movie theater, it'd be more expensive with popcorn and a soda. So I was like, okay, I'm going to rent this movie and watch it. I was really, really excited about this movie. I don't know really what I expected from this movie. I knew that it was about these two guys. Like when you watch the trailer, it's about these two guys that kidnap this woman played by Emma Stone. And I don't know, I love her anyway, from like the Easy A all the way through to today. I love her. But they kidnap this woman because they like think that she's an alien, and it's all based on this conspiracy theory. The title of the movie so it's about bees. They're talking about like the colonization of bees and pesticides and things like that. And so the two guys that kidnap her, the main guy and his cousin, and they like do like a lot of like beehive stuff and whatever. The whole movie is kind of around that, like bee colonies, the queen bee, things like that in relation to like aliens. And he's a conspiracy theorist. So he believes that she has come down from the mothership and so he's like trying to find out like somebody that's come from this mothership that is like infiltrated the earth and is like doing this and killing the bees. And then he also has a mom that went on these like drug trials and stuff. And so incidentally, Emma Stone, I think her name is Michelle in the movie. Incidentally, Emma Stone is like the CEO of the company that ran these drug trials on his mom. And so she's now in a hospital. But he relates the whole thing to like UFOs and aliens. And like aliens did this to his mom. Aliens put these drugs here, blah, blah, whatever. So it's like displaced anger. It's his way of making sense of like all the turmoil he's gone through, right? So he decides that he's going to kidnap Emma Stone because she's this alien. And then he wants her to make a statement to like the person that's in charge of her kingdom to they want her to take him to the mothership and like he can have a meeting with this guy and say, leave Earth alone. Okay. Now, when I started watching this, I honest to God thought this would be kind of like, I don't know, like a la like the Coen brothers, like, you know, Fargo or Raising Arizona. It just kind of seemed a little bit of a mix to me. I actually looked it up and it's considered like a comedy sci-fi. This was the thing, like, I love a slow movie. I love a slow burn. I mean, some of my favorite, speaking of the Coen brothers, some of my favorite movies are like Nomadland with, well, I'm speaking of Frances McDormand. I love Frances McDormand movies. But like most of her movies are very slow, like Nomadland. One of my favorite movies. Very slow. But slow and intentional, if that makes sense. You know, it's almost like there's an intention to the slowness or a build up to the climax. This movie was so slow. I think it was like an hour and 57 minutes. It was so slow to the point where I was so bored. I was like, I know I paid $19.99 for this, but I am almost ready to turn it off. The other thing is, and I am going to spoil this for you guys, so if you don't want the movie spoiled, I would stop watching it at this point. I'm just giving you fair warning, because for me to talk about this movie, I have to spoil some parts of it. I also figured it out pretty early. That was the thing, like going into it. So they kidnap her and it's like this guy and his cousin and they're just not super bright. And they're like, the main cousin is like obsessed with like conspiracy theories, especially like aliens and stuff. I got online afterwards and I was like reading stuff about it. And a lot of people are saying it has all these political undertones and that it means this and the symbology of this and blah, 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 whatever. I can see that, okay? I can see that there's several different theories of political ideology that are in this. The problem for me is when that is masked as a dark comedy, it needs to be so clear that I'm not needing to search for it, okay? Like, I'm not needing to really search for what's going on. The problem with this is it's not like really clearly done. To me, it almost kind of seems like commentary on class and culture. It almost seems like commentary on like the rich get richer and have more power and get all the opportunities, and the poor will always be poor. It almost kind of seems like more of a class discussion than a political conversation, which, I mean, I guess that could be a political conversation as well. But I don't, like, a lot of people are reading things into this, and I was like, I didn't get that from that. I mean, it's very much like, you know, like when Project Runway, like if you've ever watched it, and somebody will come out like in a dress, and then they're like, okay, explain to us, and they're like, well, it's my sister's, you know, like engagement party, and she wears this, but her favorite color is, you know, green, but she didn't want to wear, it's like, if you have to explain it that deep, you've missed the point, right? Like, if the movie needs to be explained to me on that level, it wasn't enjoyable. I mean, movies at their core are entertainment. Yes, they're art that are transformative and explain other things to people, but they shouldn't be so complicated that you don't get it. One of my favorite movies from the last couple years that was up for an Academy Award is Women Talking. I think that's what it's called, where all the women are sitting in the barn, and it's about, why can't I think of the religion now? Not the Pentecostal group, but anyway, like why can't I think of, anyway, it's like this religious group where the men are coming in and they are like drugging the women, and then they're coming in and abusing them, and then but the women are aware of it at some point. They think it's demons and stuff, and then Amish, it's almost like an Amish religion. Why can't I think of what the religion is? I love that movie. But anyway, so then the women the whole thing is done in one day, this meeting, whether they decide they're going to leave, they're going to stay, or they're going to kick the men out. It's so fantastically done, and it's based on a true story. And it's a very political conversation. It's a religious ideology conversation. It is so well done as far as gender studies and things like that. But it's very simple concept too. Like, it's not like you have to be like, what did she say? Like, I don't love movies like that. I like Easter eggs in movies where you have to figure them out. You know, I loved reading Ready Player One. I thought the movie was well done too, but the book was fantastic by Ernest Cline. I love Easter eggs in movies. I love symbology. But when the symbology is so buried that it doesn't make sense, that's when you've kind of lost me a little bit. I didn't dislike this movie. In fact, the very closing scene is, they play the song Where Have All the Flowers Gone, which is one of my favorite songs. But it's also a folk song that indicates a more innocent time of like, I mean, it's a song that came around during the Vietnam War. And so it's a lot about like the hippie movement and things like that. Which is interesting because I went in after I finished it to watch The Leftovers, and The Leftovers played it in the episode that I was watching too. And I love that song. My mom used to always play it. I thought it was an interesting ending to the movie. I thought the movie it ended beautifully. So towards the end of it, I don't know, like a third of the way through, I was like, I think she's going to end up being an alien because so they're like, you're an alien, you're an alien. She's like, I'm not an alien, I'm just a CEO, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, she's an alien, because I really believe in this concept of like, but what if the conspiracies are true? Like, what if there is truth to the conspiracy, right? And so I'm like, she's gonna end up being an alien. Well, at the end of it, she like has his mom's in the hospital. So she's like, the antidote that's going to cure your mom basically or the thing that's going to cure your mom, I keep it in antifreeze in the trunk of my car. You just need to get it and take it to your mom. So he leaves like an idiot and gives his mom antifreeze, which is blue, because he's just so delusional at this point, he'll believe anything. There's also this police officer that's like a friend of his kind of, but he comes over and he like apologizes to him. He ends up beating the shit out of him, like with this. The guy figures it out because he hears her screaming in the house, and they're like at the bee thing, and so he starts beating. He kills him. But then there's like a backstory to that too, of like, you don't really understand it, but like the police officer continues to like apologize for what happened to them when they were younger, insinuating that he was abused by this guy. And so the movie is really all about like his reaction to every shitty, traumatic thing that's happened in his life, and he makes sense out of it with the fact that he believes there's like UFOs, which is weird because I watched this documentary a couple years ago, and the first one's about this killer named Pazuzu. He changed his name. The second one, it's called The Devil You Know. It's on Amazon. You can buy it. They're both seasons are fantastic. But the second season is about this woman, and she was like, she wanted to be this Christian minister, and she wanted to be like this newscaster like Barbara Walters, but when those both failed, she started this Facebook group where she would go live, and she sold these rocks online. And then she believed in this whole like reptilian alien thing, which has political issue like statements to it too. And that's where I couldn't like get into that too deep. But she talks about, like, her whole thing was about reptilian aliens taking over the United States, contracts that they had with politicians, all kind of stuff. She has since passed away. The documentary is so interesting because she literally had people that, like, thousands of people that would listen to her every single night. And that, like, were sending her money and were paying, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was crazy, okay? So I think it's the movie is kind of like his sense of making, or his way of making sense of all the trauma that he suffered with his mom and like just having a shitty life and being abused and all this kind of stuff, is to say, well, the aliens are to blame for all this, is what you're led to believe. But at this point, I'm like, I think she might be an alien. This is how the movie's going to end. So she sends him to go get, or go save his mom with the antifreeze. He ends up killing his mom. He comes back there to kill her because he's so pissed. At that point, she's gotten out of her chains and stuff like that. And she goes to look in the other room, and he's got like all these bodies and body parts where she's not the first one he's done it to. He's done it to multiple people trying to find out if they're like these aliens from this mothership. And so when he comes back, she like confronts him, and she's like, you're right, I am an alien, and you're on to us, basically, and all this kind of stuff. And then she takes him to her office, and all the people, she's been missing for days, so people are worried about her. And so she goes in, she has him like, she's going to take him to her mothership because he's like so delusional. And so she puts him in his closet, which is like heat activated, and it blows him up, and he's got these bombs on him. And so then he's dead. And then she runs away from like the police officers and gets out of the ambulance. And then she goes back to the closet, and then she crawls out, and she's in this other world. And so she's been an alien all along. And I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I don't know. I just like with the antifreeze, that was real. I was like, she's going to do something with the mom. And then, oh, the antifreeze, and she kills the mom. And then the other, I don't know. Like none of it was a surprise to me. I honestly think that the movie, like it's considered a comedy, but like it really misses the mark for me. Like, I mean, like the Coen brothers that did all those movies back in the day, they still do movies that are fantastic. But like the dark comedy mix with like serious, I mean, it just was so fantastically done. This missed it to me. I thought Emma Stone was fantastic in it. I thought the acting, all the actors were fantastic in it. The story missed it to me. And the very end of it, I know that this is part of the humor of it, but the aliens, like where they're at, they like, it's like 5 minutes of them speaking in some alien language that you don't understand with no subtitles. And she's just sitting there. It's like almost so like homemade and comical looking. And I know it's supposed to be like that, like almost like this joke. But it's like so ridiculous that I almost think like if the commentary that you're wanting us to get from this is like this political commentary or symbolism or something from it, it would have almost been better if that hadn't been the case, that she hadn't been an alien. But I think the whole idea is, what if the conspiracy theorists are right about things? I don't know. Like, the movie just missed it for me. I mean, I got done with it. I just was kind of like, I don't know. And then, like, when it ends, after she's, like, talking to all the aliens, and then it just kind of ends, then it shows, like, everybody on Earth, like, they're having a meeting, and then everybody on Earth is dead. So they've decided that she goes over this thing, and, like, they've decided that they don't need Earth anymore. They're just going to kill all, because people are the problem on Earth. Because then they show that the animals are still alive, like the dogs and stuff like that. Which is interesting to me when you talk about evolution, that coming from like, you know, like the microorganisms and animals and all kind of stuff. But all the animals are alive, but all the people are dead. They show scene after scene while they're playing Where Are All the Flowers Gone? Of people like in boardrooms, on beaches. I mean, it's that scene alone, for me, was like, I was like, this is a fantastic ending. Like, this ending is morbidly beautiful. I thought the ending of it was really, really well done. And I think what it was really saying is, we're the ones destroying our own Earth. We can blame it on UFOs, we can blame it on aliens, and maybe they're part of it. But if we had never messed with that, I mean, like, the whole sentiment is, if this guy hadn't been so into the conspiracy theories, she would have continued to be the CEO, life would have gone on, whatever. We're the problem, is basically what the commentary is that humans are the problem. So they just get rid of all the humans, because the dogs are on the beach and the animals are still alive and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know. I will say this about this movie, that this is a movie that, like, if I'm, like, at somebody's house and they bring it up, I will be having deep conversations about this. And I think this movie will last with me for a while. I almost kind of feel like this is a movie that if you, like, ask me in 2 months, I'll be like, yeah, like, I kind of did like that movie. I don't know. Like, I feel like I love to jump on and do reactions the very next day, because in my head, I can remember what happened. I also think, like, the bee connection to it, like, they really kind of force down your throat the bee connection and the colonization of bees and the queen bee and everybody leaving her, the queen bee and all that kind of stuff, and her not really needing them anymore. I feel like they kind of pushed that analogy kind of down her throat a little bit. I don't know. It was like so in your face that it just kind of didn't work for me. Where if it had been just like a little bit lesser, you know, or if like there had just been like a bee flying through the house at some point, like that would have been almost like subliminally genius compared to like it being shoved in our faces. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, let me know what you thought in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.